Star Wars. Your opinion. Give me your review.
Of the entire trilogy, or
No.
just oh my god.
Well, not in depth of the entire trilogy, but in depth of the movie.
The entire trilogy shouldn't have happened.
Yes, I agree.
That being said, The Rise of Skywalker was absolutely the best possible outcome that could have happened for the trilogy.
I was pleasantly surprised, and you know what? People always give shit about the whole fan service thing. You know what? Sometimes I like.
Fans are the ones that go to the fucking movies. That's
Yeah,
why,
sometimes
that's
I
why
like-
Marvel is doing so well.
That's why I like some fan service. Why fucking?
Yeah. And
But it's the fans that bitch about the fan service, which makes no
and-
fucking sense.
everyone loved everyone that was a movie critic loved the meta commentary of The Last Jedi, which was basically fuck Star Wars. Let's burn the place down and start over. And
Good for J.J. Abrams. He was able to recover it, and he retconned some shit and
he did, but at the same time he did it. Like he towed the line very hard.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of what happened in Rise of Skywalker wasn't his decisions. It came from the mouse upstairs, which was to try and walk the center as much as possible, to try and not piss anyone off because they wanted to make as much money as possible. But the meta, like if you pay attention to Rise of Skywalker, the movie isn't so much apologizing for The Last Jedi as apologizing for that the trilogy even happened.
It's so fucking true.
Because
that's a great way to put it, but it's so fucking true.
Because like even like Luke Skywalker, I was wrong. He's not just talking about him going all emo in Last Jedi. He's like
cunty. He was. Yeah. I sent that text as we were just my father and I were just flicking the channels, and The Last Jedi was on, and he just left it on. We weren't really watching it, but it was right around when Rey was trying to get Luke to train him, and I go, I'm like 5 minutes in, and I already cannot stand cunty Luke.
Yeah.
It's so goddamn annoying.
It was so bad. And so like I guess where I'm gonna go with this next is the problem with this trilogy is that it quite literally invalidated 2/3 of the saga.
Oh yeah.
Because the whole point of the original 6 movies, it was the rise and fall of Anakin Skywalker. And George Lucas definitively stated that Anakin is the chosen one. He was the one to bring balance to the Force. The Return of the Jedi wasn't even so much about Luke as it was the redemption of Anakin. Anakin was a returning Jedi bringing balance to the Force. And 30 years later, shit's already out of whack again. Palpatine's back from the dead. Anakin failed.
Yes.
Anakin was the chosen one, and yet there was no balance to the Force. Liam Neeson fucked the entire galaxy.
He really did.
He doubled down on the wrong bet. And and like the fact they had so many other things that they could have done. They could have gone even fucking 100 years into the future. They could have gone to the Old Republic era, or like they could have.
They're gonna actually the next trilogy I heard was gonna be the Old Republic era.
That's what I've heard. Yeah, they could have even just fucking recast. They could have gotten like fucking Sebastian Stan, the guy that plays the Winter Soldier, who looks exactly like Mark Hamill, and they could have done a new trilogy continuing with Leia, Luke, and Han, only like 10 years after Return of the Jedi.
I don't know. See, that's a good idea, but where would you take that? Like, who would be the big conflict in that? If the galaxy
it could be the Imperial Remnant. It could be the Yuzhan Vong.
Like basically what they did in the Mandalorian is like the main enemy is like the remnants of the Empire.
Yeah. Gotcha. Or it could. It could even still be Ben Solo, who very clearly was just fucking coffee. Rey and Kylo they were both Han's children in the EU. They very clearly copy and paste.
Yeah, I remember reading one of the Star Wars books of like what happened afterwards, and Han had a boy and a girl.
And the boy fell to the dark side, and the girl killed him. And the problem, the Sith didn't like actually come to full fruition again in the expanded universe. So like they kept trying, and they kept having to put them down. A couple wars broke out, but the Republic didn't fall twice in 40 years.
Yeah, that's insane. That's what really bothered me is like they were going to rebuild the Republic, and it was supposed to be this massive, new, better thing, especially because they didn't have this evil son of a bitch running it.
Yeah, and that's.
But then all of a sudden it's gone in fucking 40 years.
Yeah,
that's where I'm like,
they don't.
And I feel like the only reason they went with the 40-year timeline is because they wanted to keep all the
aging characters relevant for cameos before they got killed off.
Exactly.
And like,
would you think it would have been a little better? Pretend The Last Jedi didn't happen, but if the whole idea of the story happened maybe 100 years or 200 years after the Republic starting, it could have been better.
It would be a bit more plausible if
Not even an empire like something the Empire Rising, but the First Order as like
almost if it was almost like another Clone Wars event that type happened like 200 years later.
Yes.
After Luke has already died, after he's done what he set out to do. Not
there's new Jedi. It's not just the whole thing didn't just get wiped out again.
Not the original 3 movies. Yeah, they all just fucking wasted their time because within their lifetime, everything they tried to rebuild failed.
It is really what it is.
Yeah. It's also because they're trying to paint Leia as like the real hero of the franchise, which, fine, whatever, but she still failed completely and utterly.
Oh, big time.
And so her whole like Leia,
her and Luke failed.
Her whole like Leia is the real hero thing still doesn't work because she failed miserably.
Basically, everyone from the original trilogy failed.
And that's one plot hole in Rise of Skywalker is she quit being a Jedi because she feared that Ben would turn to the dark side had she stayed. And then Ben turned to so that means there's 2 Jedi, basically. There are 2 fully trained Jedi. Ben turns to the dark side, and not one of them, despite being a direct relative, tries to go save him.
Yeah.
And then there's also the fact that Rey is actually his relative, most likely. It's not even most likely. It's because Palpatine is, for all intents and purposes, Anakin's father.
Yeah, isn't it that he was the one that
manipulated the Force and
to
created Anakin?
The Immaculate Conception of Anakin.
Whether or not Anakin shared any genetic material with Palpatine is up in the air. Probably not. Well, he had to have. Otherwise, genetically speaking, he would have been identical. He would have been female. He would have been identical to his mother in every way, shape, and form. So obviously, there's some Palpatine DNA in Anakin, which means that Ben and Rey are like second cousins.
Would they be second or third? No, I think they're second. I think you're right.
I think
because Anakin.
It's not even inconceivable that Rey was also, or not Rey. Rey's father was also probably conceived through the Force. Because who the fuck would fuck that pale frog thing? Because like when you look at the timeline, her dad had to have been born after the fall of the Republic. Because she's only our age by Rise of Skywalker. She's like 24, 25, and her parents were very clearly in like their mid-30s.
When she died,
when they died.
When they died.
When she was taken away from them, which means they would have had to have been born sometime around A New Hope.
So you're basically saying that Qui-Gon full-on did something like this? He said this?
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
That's exactly what Qui-Gon did.
He fucked up the galaxy.
He fucked up the galaxy because the wrong child of the Force was born.
And he was like, no, this one.
And then because
I say so you train him.
Arguably, Palpatine's second son was also conceived of the Force, which means we've had 2 immaculate conceptions within like 40 years.
Well, Palpatine was supposed to be that much more powerful that he could do shit like that.
No, I'm not questioning the fact that he can do it. I'm just saying that they really didn't have to bring back the whole incest storyline in Star Wars to finish off the saga.
They got to bring it back. Like, everything goes full circle, Chris.
That was the movies do mirror each other, right to the point where the entire theme of the new trilogy was basically sexual tension between cousins.
My God, you're so right. Holy shit. Okay, let's.
I really hope they don't have Thanksgiving in Star Wars.
That was real awkward Thanksgiving.
Dad, I got something to tell you about my cousin Rey. She may have touched my lightsaber in the garage.
Fucking Christ. So go ahead.
Well, that also ties into the fact why the lightsaber responded to her in Force Awakens. It's not because she's more powerful than Ben necessarily. It's that she has quite literally an equal claim to it as a descendant or a relative of the one who created the lightsaber.
Oh, that's weird now. Weird. You're right, but it's weird.
Yeah. Actually, hang on. Yeah. Mm-hmm. She would be Anakin's niece.
Yeah, she would.
Yeah. So she actually has a closer claim.
Because he's
Ben
Anakin's
is a grandson,
yeah.
whereas Rey is his niece.
It'd probably be equal because grandson's direct, but it's 2 generations. She's 1 generation.
Yeah. I don't.
Interesting.
We'll break out the family tree chart and figure this out. But yeah, she also had a legitimate claim to the lightsaber.
Yeah. All right. What else?
Which means, I guess, as stupid as the line is, she also has a legitimate claim to the name Skywalker.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess.
Even though she had the gall to bury her uncle's lightsaber in sand.
Oh my God!
Why didn't
she
she
fucking realize that?
Why didn't she save one of them for Finn, who's very clearly Force sensitive?
Because you're supposed to make your own.
Yeah, but
that's like kind of the rule with Jedi.
Yeah, but even Padawans had training lightsabers before they went and built their own.
True. Maybe she'll have. Well, then how could she train him? And I was gonna say maybe he could use her lightsaber, but how could she train him with her lightsaber, like in combat wise?
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. There's a plot. There's a plot hole. We found another one.
Like, don't you think those would be useful when you're trying to bring back the Jedi, unless you plan on just being the one Jedi for your entire life? You know, introducing a rule of 2, which I don't think she's going to do. But then again, she can use Force lightning.
Yes.